Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central. Celebrating 10 years of award-winning car talk, it's the In Wheel Time car show and video production network. Just ahead, we talk about the current microchip shortage with an industry expert, live from Spain. We need more Jeff. We'll review his pre-owned car of the week if he can get it out of the bag.
Yep.
The 2011 Ford Ranger. We got the racing calendar, and we'll also have the stories making automotive news headlines this week. That and more just ahead on the In Wheel Time Car Show. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world Mars. We need more Jeff Dziekan. I'm Don Armstrong, and there's a vacancy over here today. King Conrad's out today. Hopefully he'll be back with us next weekend. Want to remind you that this segment of In Wheel Time is sponsored by Garages of Texas, luxury garage suites. Put a roof over your ride. Well, so glad that you could join us on this hot Saturday here in Houston, Texas, and around the world, apparently. We were talking with our next guest here just a moment ago, and it seems as though that it's hot around the world. Of course, it is summertime in the Northern Hemisphere. We are in the Northern Hemisphere. We haven't slid down, have we?
Not yet.
Are you guys, what are you guys doing over there?
We're trying to
a little malfunction.
minor glitch.
Technical
You know,
stuff.
it
Never
truly
fails.
amazes me that every weekend we get real close to going on the air, and we go to hit the button to be on the air,
And nothing on the button.
and there's nothing there. So what was the problem this week, or are we still not on the
Well,
air?
we are
We're
live.
still working on it.
We are live.
Are we?
Yeah.
Then what's the issue? Please share it with everybody.
Well, we are not recording.
We're not recording.
We're not recording.
Perfect.
But we are live.
Okay. So that means that this week's first half hour of the podcast will be askew.
Just a skew. Yeah. Just a minor skew.
Just wanted to make sure that we have that.
Yep.
Listen, we got a lot of automotive news headlines this week, and we're going to be getting to those a little bit later on. But right now, we're going to talk to the CEO of Almonty Industries. His name is Louis Black. And Louis, a pleasant Saturday morning in Houston, Texas, and a Saturday afternoon in Spain to you. Where are you in Spain, sir?
I'm actually on the islands of Mallorca.
Oh,
Where my family is enjoying a wonderful vacation and has left me
While
to
you're
work.
working.
well,
Oh, yes.
I have to say to you that there is a television show over here in the States that we watch, and it's called Below Deck Mediterranean, and it's a reality show, and they spend a lot of time there off the Spanish coast and islands of Mallorca, and it is absolutely stunningly beautiful there. And maybe before I leave this earth, I'll have a chance to visit, hopefully.
So you're going to...
My wife tells me it is very beautiful. I haven't seen it yet because I'm still working, but she says it's beautiful out there.
Well, so there you got something to look forward to today. Mind
Exactly.
your wife and join her occasionally. I think that you'll probably enjoy it. So at any rate, let's start off and get a little background on you and Almonty Industries.
Well, we're the largest producer of tungsten concentrate outside of China.
Tungsten, hold on.
Yeah.
Tungsten concentrate. So tungsten, I'm thinking of tungsten lamps.
Well, that's actually a tiny part of what it's used for. It's predominantly used in automotive, manufacturing of vehicles, through engine blocks, gears, any kind of cutting tools. It's used in 5G technology. It's used in semiconductors. It's pretty much used in everything around you. So it is much more prevalent in your life than you realize.
Where does tungsten come from?
Well, we mine it predominantly 73, actually it's closer to 75% now comes from China. And we are, as we said, the largest producer outside of China. So we produce in Spain, in Portugal, and we're in the process now of opening the world's largest tungsten mine in South Korea.
And how is it used in the automotive industry, besides gears and that sort of thing?
Well, you use it for basically inserts, so all the tooling, so all the pressing, all the drilling, all the manufacturing of the physical parts, you need tungsten carbide tools. So you also find it in the catalytic converter. There's a whole plethora of uses within automotive. About 50% of all tungsten is consumed in automotive construction.
Interesting. I learn something new every day. Of course, I've heard of tungsten carbide, and I've heard of tooling. Since we're here in Houston, Texas, a lot of tungsten carbide is used in the oil industry.
For the drilling.
Yes, in the drilling, and you're well aware of that. So, as far as the automotive industry is concerned, and I know that you're pretty much attuned with all of what's going on in the automotive industry, I kind of wanted to drill down and get your take on where we are with this chip shortage. Now, I don't know as if tungsten carbide is used in chips, but clearly any part of the automotive industry that is affected in any way will affect you because you're part of the whole machine.
Well, actually, they do, in fact, use tungsten in semiconductor chips.
I did not know that.
They pump a tungsten gas inside the chip to give it best heat, so it disperses the heat much better. So tungsten it's why South Korea is the largest consumer per capita in the world of tungsten because of the semiconductor business in South Korea. So it is used liberally in the semiconductor business.
Well, how is the fact that they can't make enough chips right now affecting your business?
Well, I mean, ultimately, we're under a lot of pressure to keep sort of producing greater volumes of tungsten. But I think what it really comes down to is manufacturing these chips. I believe each chip takes 18 weeks to produce. So, these are the highest levels of technical ability. The US is obviously the dominant producer, followed by South Korea, Taiwan. But the capacity to produce them, the amount of capacity to actually produce to catch up here is flailing. And it's going to take really rather a lot of time to bring this into alignment again.
Well, what's happened? I mean, obviously, COVID and the global pandemic has had a huge effect on every facet of our lives, manufacturing included. And of course, the auto industry is reeling right now, and they can't produce any car. Well, not say any cars, but such a reduced capacity. There is it's affecting every sale of every automobile that rolls down the road. Used cars, new cars, it doesn't make any difference. All of it. I just don't understand how did we get this into this predicament. I realize that factories were shut down for, I don't know, a month or two, but were we running that tight of supply chain issues with the microchips?
Well, I think that you sort of have to rewind back to the beginning of last year. What actually occurred beginning of last year, well, from March onwards, was the impossible. It was never meant to be possible to shut down a global economy. It was just inconceivable that it could even be contemplated. I mean, the coordination to make it happen in itself was logistically a nightmare, if not impossible. If I'd said to you 2 years ago, how do we, one day we have to prepare ourselves for a global shutdown, you would have thought I was a crackpot. So, because it was ridiculous. By closing down the global economy, for every action, there is a reaction. There was no real comprehension as to what was going to happen. They just looked at the fact that we had to get everybody home in order to try. It's the only tool that they had at that moment to deal with this spread of COVID. But the reaction of that is completely unknown and still is unknown, because it's not just semiconductors that you've seen problems with. You've seen problems throughout shipping, for instance, containers, through polymer deliveries into Europe. It's emerging all the time, these different issues. And equilibrium is going to take some time. I mean, who would know when you send everyone home? And I did this, I know myself. You get home and you say, my phone is pretty old. In my laptop, this is not really going to work for Zoom at all. And I went shopping. It was a therapy. But of course, that meant there was a huge demand on the semiconductors, because ultimately consumer goods are very semiconductor heavy. So inventories just could not keep up. And now we find we're in the perfect storm where there just is not the inventory to catch up until they have additional capacity of production.
Well, I know nothing about the microchip industry, but I know that to produce a microchip is a very expensive proposition, and there is certainly specialized equipment to manufacture these things in these super sterile environments. And I understand that there was also a fire at one of the microchip facilities.
In Taiwan.
Yes, in Taiwan. That helped put more of a crimp into the industry. And now the fact that they're trying to play catch up, I'm sure that they're running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week across the globe. Are there plans to build more semiconductor manufacturing facilities?
I think certainly in South Korea, the big players, LG, Samsung, they're all now looking at opening plants in the US to try and counter this. Because ultimately, this is not, I mean, everyone blames everything on China as a supply. It's just not true with semiconductors. The technology required to produce a semiconductor is at the absolute cutting edge of what is possible. And ultimately, Taiwan, South Korea, and the US are the three dominant players because technically speaking, they're way ahead of all other competitors. So it's really going to rest on those three countries to resolve this problem because only they have the technology in which to build these plants and start increasing capacity.
Louis, we're going to continue this conversation. We got to take a quick break here. I want you to stay with us because we've got lots more to talk about. Hang in there. Hang in.
Garages of Texas offers first-class luxury garage suites to keep your collection in a safe, secure location with 24-hour access. You'll love your own private space that's developed with other like-minded enthusiasts in 2 Houston area locations, in Katy and the Woodlands. Visit garagesoftexas.com to see how other enthusiasts have designed their motor vehicle man cave. But you need to act fast. These properties are almost sold out. Visit garagesoftexas.com for full details. Join the Garages and Gearheads Having Coffee Cruise-In at the Katy location, August 28th, 9 to 11 a.m.
Thanks for joining us today here on the In Wheel Time Car Show. We're talking to Louis Black, CEO of Almonty Industries. He's talking to us from Spain. A beautiful, hot Saturday afternoon over in Mallorca, right off the Spanish coast. And it's great to have you, and we sure appreciate you talking to us today about this chip issue. Louis is the CEO of a company that produces tungsten and used in everything, but who is to know? So, including microchips. So, as we move forward in our conversation, Louis, what do you see as the next step? Where we are? I know that a lot of automobile manufacturers are having to build cars that really aren't complete. They're missing microchips. They put them on a storage lot, hoping to be able to play catch up with the microchips. Do you see that this is an ongoing thing and it's going to last through the end of the year?
I think car manufacturers, unfortunately, are caught between a rock and a hard place. I think they identify the problem that they face, but they also can't really be too pessimistic as to when this will resolve itself, because obviously they're vast employers, the politics involved in this. So I think they're looking towards the next 6 months, and then they'll sort of take a view as to how this is going to start to clear through 2022. But until additional capacity is available, this problem is not going away. So the real question is, how long will it take chip manufacturers to increase their output?
And, increasing the output sounds fairly easy if you're making hamburgers. Well, we just get more meat and some more buns, and we just make more hamburgers.
Work a little overtime if we need to.
But
keep pushing it out.
That's really not the case, because we're talking about highly specialized equipment, robots, and that sort of thing that have to be manufactured first to be able to turn out more microchips.
Well, there's microchips within those facilities to run those robots.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, just to make it even more complicated, this push towards electric vehicles require many more microchips than combustion vehicles. So you're putting even more sort of fragility on the supply chain. So with one hand, you push EVs, but you're going to need, they have 8 times the number of microchips in an EV over and above a normal regular vehicle. So this is going to take really some time to resolve, ultimately. And as you say, for overtime, all these plants are completely automated. They work 24/7.
Oh.
They don't stop.
Just automatically roll on.
Basically, they switch it on and they just let it do its thing.
And are you being asked to supply more tungsten carbide to these plants?
Well, we produce tungsten concentrate, and ultimately our customers are vertical. So they're the ones who provide, for instance, they use a tungsten gas that's pumped into a semiconductor. So they're the ones who provide the materials to produce that gas, which is then put into the semiconductor manufacturers. And in answer to your question, yes, there is an enormous push. I mean, people aren't, throwing me in the back of a car and taking me down alleyways to ask, but they're certainly impressing upon me the importance, given that 99.9% of our material is sent to the United States. We are being very much pushed to increase our output.
And what about the actual resources themselves? I mean, is it infinite resources?
No, they're declining resources. There's very few tungsten manufacturers, tungsten concentrate manufacturers outside of China, and it's a very difficult metal to mine. So this supply chain imbalance, I think, is going to continue on and off the next decade. Not with semiconductors. This problem will be resolved, but as you fix one problem of capacity, you're going to create another one. Because you can't, it's like robbing Peter to pay Paul. So if you take with one hand, something else is now going to miss out. And that's what is going to take rather a long time to rebalance, especially in the middle of this huge paradigm shift towards a greener life, a greener way of living. So you have capacity issues already, and now you also want to exponentially change the way that people function in terms of the environment. So I think this is going to be a decade of finding that equilibrium again between supply and demand.
Louis, how in the world did you get into the tungsten industry?
I was thinking the same thing.
Well, I mean, we have a mine in Portugal that's been running for 126 years. So our team has sort of 5 generations behind them. And to be honest, it was one of those things which I, like everything, I fell into it because I found it fascinating that you need so little tungsten for an end product, but without it, the end product is useless. So you can't launch a satellite. A drill bit has no value.
Right.
You can't manufacture a plane. A plane you need to put 3 million rivet holes. So you need to drill those holes. I mean, the braking system on a plane. So I was fascinated by that, in my youth. What can I say? I ended up doing something which I'm very passionate about.
You've never been called a nerd before, have you?
He's a tungsten nerd.
I have to be honest. It's not the greatest way to meet people in bars. If I was in the gold business, I'd get the best table. I say tungsten, they normally say the garbage is out back, clean it up.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant. Well, I have to tell you that it is an honor, pleasure, and a real treat to talk to you. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to stay in touch with you because
no problem.
You've given us some insight that we clearly haven't had. And it's truly a spider's web of intricate, involved stuff that goes into making microchips, including tungsten. And who was to know?
Yeah, never knew.
In a mine in Portugal.
Yeah. So, Louis, I hope that you have a wonderful day. Enjoy the wife and kids in one of the most beautiful places on earth over there. You need to get out and enjoy yourself once in a while, sir.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Yes. It's been a pleasure. I wish you safe travels.
Well, thank you. We're coming over to see you, so get the spare room ready.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks again. Louis Black, CEO of Almonty Industries, and I don't even know what to say. I had no clue.
No. It was like, there's stuff out there, but you don't really know what it is and what puts into it.
Tungsten gas.
So So, we've been talking about the dealers, and we've talked to, even the OEMs about the chip shortage. But, here's a guy that actually contributes to making them. In fact, you can't make one without him in his company.
Those processes, yeah.
Yeah. And I thought, man, we need to know more about this guy.
Yeah, no kidding. How in the world did you find him?
He had gas.
Do what?
He had gas.
He had gas. Good. I like that.
No, we and I'd have to look, Sarah, and I have to remember which Sarah it is. There's two Sarahs that we deal with. Sent it out and said that
a PR person.
Yeah, a PR person.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
And said, here's somebody you might be interested in.
No
And
kidding.
Definitely.
Absolutely fascinating. Well, at any rate, that's some good stuff right there. Mm-hmm. All right, time now for the racing calendar.
Aha.
And we're at the height of the racing season, actually.
We are.
Mm-hmm. Because once fall hits, things start to shift, shall we say,
Cool down
into a different. Got the top 10 race to the finish kind of thing.
Different atmosphere.
We're not too far away from our first cold front. I know it's only August and we're in the heat of the battle right now.
They got some kind of thing brewing in the tropics or whatever.
Well, we don't even want to talk about that.
We got to get over one to get to the other.
Yeah. So let's race right on over.
I'm going to race right on over to it. We're getting there. It's
all right.
going to be the Jeff hour.
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay, so the racing calendar, NHRA, 8/13 through 8/15, which is yesterday through tomorrow.
Yes.
Topeka, Kansas.
Right, Topeka.
And then, of
And
course,
Erica is not qualified, by the way.
I did not know that.
Yeah, she's not qualified, so she's on the outside looking in. Apparently, she had a couple of bad runs yesterday, and here's the deal. I've been to Topeka, and that is a brutal place, and especially in August, you can't even imagine that in the middle of Kansas that it can be 105 degrees like it is here.
In the shade, yeah.
In the shade, and I can't even imagine today what it's like up there because it's brutally hot.
So they're going against the track temperature is what they're doing
Yeah.
to get
Well,
that
you
power
got
down.
that,
Get the
and,
power down.
The humidity and everything else.
Yeah.
It's got to be weird when you get to that kind of temperature, particularly in Kansas. It's a whole different thing.
Where's Dorothy when you need her?
Exactly.
I know,
Anyway,
Toto.
continue
You got to
on.
get Toto. Okay, and then you got Brainerd, Minnesota, which is on the 18th through the 23rd.
That's next week.
Yep. And then on September 1st through the 5th, you got the Dodge SRT U.S. Nationals. NASCAR Cup. You've got today is Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They're doing that there. I think yesterday was qualifying and practice.
That's the road course.
Correct. And then on 8/22, you got Michigan International Speedway, which is always fun. I've been there. It's a lot of fun. 8/28, on the 28th, you got Daytona 2, Formula 1. And then on the 29th, you got the Belgian Grand Prix, which I'm really not going to watch that. So Belgian, whatever. IMSA on 8/22, the Virginia International race coming up. And then IndyCar on 8/14, which is today, the Grand Prix of Indianapolis. And then on the 21st is the Gateway Motorsports Park.
All right, very good.
There you go.
Well, I know that it is that time of the morning for us to do our car review. And it just so happens that Mr. Dziekan, again, has the 2011 Ford Ranger. And when you sent this out that said you're going to do the Ford Ranger, I thought, you know what? I still see those all the time, every day. Every pool guy and pest service in the United States now has over 1 million miles on their Ford Rangers, and they're still being used today.
And that's why I picked it.
That's a good one.
That's why I picked it. So here we go.
Let me give you a hand.
Yep,
here.
there you go. Mike's going to handle that. 2011 Ford Ranger. You've got a couple of different options for it so far as trim levels. You've got base, you've got all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, and you've got extended. What we're doing today is just the base model. It's just a little mini pickup truck.
Dude,
it's
that is every pool guy's vehicle right there.
And it's so simple. And why did they ever get rid of it? They're trying to bring it back with other options and things.
Yeah, but once again, it's too big.
Right? Yeah.
To make it like that.
Exactly. This one says it seats 5.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Well, that's an extended cab.
Well,
there.
yeah. I don't know about extended, but there's places you can put stuff in. Generally, you put your tools back there in a safety part of it.
Or small people's.
Yeah, small people. Features on this, you got optional running boards of either the standard running boards or you've got the body step side running boards. You get a Class 3 hitch if you need to. You can put fog lamps in that grille right there. Side body striping. You got a plastic bed liner either through an aftermarket or through the dealership. Interior, you've got power adjustable mirrors, which back then in 2011, that was pretty good if you had power adjustable mirrors.
Ooh.
Power door locks, you got delay wipers, remote unlock. That was something featured that if you got it, you got it. Of course, you got your tack and tilt wheel. Here's something that we all know and love when we had one, CD player.
Yeah.
In the dash,
CD
player.
I got a CD player in the Corvette.
Yeah, you do.
A 10
Disc changer.
Yep, in the back.
Yep. It's 6 or nothing. You got to get
It doesn't work, but it's back
Well,
there.
it's back there.
But you got it.
Yeah. And then moving on to the power plant of this monster, you got a 2.3-liter inline 4-cylinder. Now, you can get a 6-cylinder in this vehicle, but we're talking about the 4-cylinder today. Horsepower is 143 on the 4-cylinder, 207 on the 6-cylinder, 154 foot-pounds of torque on the 6, and you got 238 foot-pounds on the 6-cylinder. You can get an automatic in this vehicle. This one here that we're talking about, it's got a 5-speed it's an optional 5-speed manual. And then the gas rating on this, or the mileage rating, is 22 in the city, 27 highway, 24 combined, 17 to 20 gallon fuel tank, standard rack and pinion. You got TPMS, alloys. You got 3 different options on tire sizes on this. You've got a standard 235, 75, 15, which is the pool guy. And then you got 225, 70, 15 on the regular cab. And then you got 255, 70, 16 on the extended. Brand new back in 2011, this vehicle went anywhere from $18,000 to $26,000.
Wow.
And then today, if you find one, it's not going to be in that great a shape because all the pool guys have them. $4,000 to $8,000 depending on miles and condition. So that's it. Back to you in the studio.
Well, that was good.
Yeah.
I kept thinking, that there are some guys out there that probably had that for their honeydew vehicle on the weekend that went back and forth to the Home Depot that's probably still got some decent lower mileage on it that's been well taken care of. Boy, wouldn't you love to find one of those?
Yeah. I would tub it out and put an LS in it.
I would not.
Oh, God.
Why does everybody have to screw it all up?
Not for that.
I would.
No, I wouldn't. I would.
What you need to do is keep that like it is.
Absolutely.
And use that to tow your S10 that you've tubbed out and put the LS in when you go to the drag strip.
Oh, the S10, so you're being competitive there.
Well, yeah, because that way you keep it with the
S10.
LS, but you got to have something that you
GM, in the GM product. I got you.
You guys, no.
We're talking smack.
Why can't you
Squirrel.
just leave the damn thing alone?
That's what Kathy says.
Just leave it alone. Polish it up, make the headlights nice and clear, and you're good to go.
Oh, that's a little stick in the
I
rib
didn't say
there.
anything now.
Oh, boy.
Hey, I'd like to remind you that the In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available on your favorite podcast channel. The In Wheel Time Car Show continues right after this quick break.
Winning the highest sales satisfaction award among all luxury brands from J.D. Power in 2020 tells you everything you need to know about your Lincoln purchase from Bayway. Bayway Lincoln is where a premium buying experience is a priority, and you're invited to feel it yourself. This Houstonian-owned premier dealership is managed by Lincoln Stahl, a seasoned member of the Bayway family. If it's online, in person, or in your own driveway, Bayway gets you to the luxury level you deserve. Bayway Lincoln is on the Gulf Freeway at Fuquay, just inside Beltway 8. Visit BaywayLincoln.com today. Tailpipes and Tacos, Houston's premier monthly car cruise-in, returns Saturday, August 21st at 2 Loopy Tortilla Mexican restaurants in Katy and inside the Loop on the Southwest Freeway near Kirby. Tailpipes and Tacos is free and everyone is invited. You'll see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods at 2 locations. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a friends and family event at the Loopy Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy, and inside the Loop on the Southwest Freeway near Kirby. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Loopy founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise-in. Tailpipes and Tacos at Loopy's inside the Loop on the Southwest Freeway in Kirby, and in Katy on the Grand Parkway just south of I-10, where you'll see the In Wheel Time Car Show. Get your ride ready and we'll see you at the Tailpipes and Tacos Saturday morning cruise-in at Loopy's in Katy and Kirby, August 21st, 8 to 11 a.m., weather permitting. Gulf Coast Auto Shield has moved to a more convenient location. Now you can visit John Gray and his staff of dedicated professionals at their new shop on the South Sam Houston Parkway between Belford and Airport in Southwest Houston. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is the best at paint correction and ceramic coatings. Clear bras and custom wraps are specialties that only Gulf Coast Auto Shield installs with award-winning accuracy, and all their services come with a warranty. Lamborghini, Aston Martin, Porsche, and Ferrari owners depend on Gulf Coast Auto Shield for their specialty services, and you should too. The in-wheel time Corvette and Cutlass have both been massaged by Gulf Coast Auto Shield, so isn't it time your vehicle visit their new shop in Southwest Houston? Call John Gray today at 832-930-5655 or visit online at gcautoshield.com. That's gcautoshield.com. Paint, coatings, wraps, and more at gcautoshield.com. That's it for this podcast episode of the In-Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.